Hi, I'm Dada. I'm the CEO of Sorce. I'm working on Tinder for jobs. I'm just getting to YCF 25. Yeah, I did not want to start a company. I wanted to just build something for myself. And then turns out the best way to do it is to start a company. So yeah, I built this thing to apply to jobs quicker so I could get like a job. And then that turned out to be my job. So I came to SF last summer to continue building this. And it just kept growing. And then the thing was now like, okay, now you have to build it and build a whole company to make it work really well. Not for only me now, like for 500,000 people. We applied late, so like we were talking to one of the partners, like should we apply, should we not apply? And then we decided to finally apply at the end, last minute. This was like 3 days after the deadline, and we got in. I think like why is because I don't think there are many places where you get to work like truly world-class people. So right now we work with Dave. Dave built Google Photos. And it's like, okay, like where else do you find that kind of talent? So I think that's one of the really big things. So we did the video, launched on LinkedIn, and reaction was crazy. The video currently has 2.7 million views. In total, we did like close to 5 million views across like LinkedIn, Twitter, all the recodes, all that stuff. So our biggest launch so far, so many emails and too many notifications on Twitter. Yeah, I could not work the next day. It was just too much. I just had to like. LinkedIn is mostly nice, like it's mostly nice stuff. I think Twitter was more mixed. You have a mix of people who like, oh wow, I like this, and the other side is like, you're going to destroy the world. And it's like, okay, that's useful. Today we're building Tinder for jobs, and that means you swipe right, and AI goes to the company's website and applies on your behalf. The reason we started building this is because applying to jobs is really hard and repetitive. You put in your same information over and over and over again. Your name, email, why do you want to work at this company, 100 different times. And when something is that repetitive, you should automate it out. And that's what we did. Basically, almost every tech company has either interviewed someone from Sorce or hired from someone from Sorce already. So like every big name, Stripe, DoorDash, Lyft, SpaceX, Anduril. So that's like one of the most surprising things, I think. It's like, because at first, our biggest fear was, are you just going to destroy the industry? That was the biggest fear. And then Anduril hired someone from Sorce. And then SpaceX hired someone from Sorce. I was like, okay, they actually like us. So I think that's one of the big surprising things so far. It's like, we're literally contributing to the economy now, and it's like feels enthralling. Currently, we just crossed 20 million swipes in total, which is great. But now, like, and if we can do that, we're going to be contributing to about 1% of all applications submitted in the world. Yeah, so we're 5 currently. So 3 of us are co-founders, David and Dan, and then Ben and Matthew joined. So as you know, like Dan went to MIT. I met him 2 years before Sorce. We were friends. And then when I was studying Sorce, I was like, there's only one person I know that I have to work with, and it's Dan. For David, we were doing some B2B thing before, and then we were like, okay, I'm building Tinder for jobs. And it's like, okay. Then I met him from Twitter randomly. Turns out he's like a good iOS engineer. So I'm like, okay, there's this idea I have. And then we started working together to build Sorce. And he built the first app. We built it and launched it in 7 weeks. And then since then, he's basically doing the app and growth. And he's done over like 70 million views on TikTok since then. And then Matthew, currently at Columbia doing his master's, and working with us, supposed to like, go to Brown. And we convinced him to do like, just do the remote Columbia and work with us. And then Ben is supposed to be at Google. And then he's just like, okay, like, come work at Sorce instead and change the world instead of selling sugar water. And then we did 1 million views, and it's like, okay, now you've really started to play the game. And I remember it was like, we got 30,000 swipes, and I was over the world. I called my parents, we made it. I think like we've shipped. I think the biggest thing for us is from like really early on, we kind of knew that people kind of want something like this. And there's always been the question of like, is it the exact form or whatever? But at every single point, people have always shown interest. Like our first thing was on LinkedIn, did like 100K views. Second one on first thing on Twitter was like 1 million. So it's like people kind of care. And also we've moved pretty fast, right? Like we built Tinder for jobs in 7 weeks. I built the first version in February in 2-3 weeks. So we don't like to be slow. I think that's something we avoid. So Warp. So I've seen Warp like on Twitter, the Twitter campaign thing. So I knew what Warp was, but we're using a different platform. And then the UI was very confusing. So I paid a contractor twice. And after that happened, shut down my account, and went to Warp. Like Warp is like a breath of fresh air. It's kind of moving from Teams to Slack, or like at Tesla I used to use this Microsoft OneNote, like doing that and using Notion, right? And I think the best thing so far is just been the design. I have a list of all the cool design things I've ever used, and I feel like Warp is there. The design is just really beautiful, and it's like you get to live once, so you have to use the best software you can. If someone built something really, really well, it means they really cared. And I think for a founder, you want to be inspired by everything you use. Like, really, really, like you already have a lot of problems in life, and you don't want to, at the end of a problem, you go to OneNote, type your notes. Like that's really bad. Like yes, you want to use the best software you can, and this is why I use Stripe, and this is why I use all these things, because I think it also helps you as a founder to know like, okay, this is where the bar is. I don't want like I'm going to build a B2B product soon, right? And it should look like Warp, and it should be as simple as Warp, because I think like in general you just want to have the best things you can, and everyone should always do that. So like we have to like double, and that is very conservative if you grow just normally by next year.